Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the ANZCAR Cup here on Performance E Streaming and Facebook. I'm Carl Wilkinson with you, and joining me here tonight in the broadcast booth, I have Mr. Mark Johansson. Welcome to the booth, Mark.
Good evening, Carl. Good evening, race fans. What an afternoon we're going to have tonight. That's a bit Irish if ever heard it.
Oh, look, we've got to go a little bit Irish, so you're always welcome. We are here at Atlanta, of course. It's still not the new Atlanta, so not quite the 28 degrees of banking of the new track, so still that slightly older layout, but a circuit that has some serious speed to it, and you need to get right to get it to work, really.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very unforgiving track. Once some heat gets into it, and very hard on tyres here. So we may see some guys in tyre preservation mode.
Yeah, absolutely. The tyres are going to be screaming here tonight. This afternoon, even track temperature is also very high at the moment. We're looking at 41 degrees Celsius track temperature. That is very, very warm out there, and that is going to hurt those tyres even more than normal.
I can tell you one thing, Carl. I definitely wouldn't like to be a right front tyre here at 41 degrees.
No, I don't think we're going to see many right fronts left after this race. I think they're all going to be pretty much in the bin. It's going to be a tricky one for sure. Of course, one of the things about Atlanta is it is pretty high speed, of course, and it is very unforgiving because it's pretty bumpy as well.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to get these. The turn one's the secret here. You've got to get that turn one right, otherwise you can kiss the rest of the lap goodbye. And also coming out of turn four, if you're up too high, that turn four seems to suck into that outside wall. I'm quite sure someone's put a big magnet out there, and it just pulls everyone up to it.
Yeah, they are going to be really trying to just suck as many cars up there tonight. And we've seen it a few times this week in trucks and the Xfinity series. Just people making that mistake across the front straight. It's not really that straight, is it? There's that little dogleggy sort of kink in there, of course, the quad oval section. Very easy to make a little bit of a mistake there as well.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's almost a miniature Daytona, really, when you really stop and think about it.
Yes, Daytona done in. Well, I mean, if you put Daytona in the washing machine and forget to turn the heat down, this is what happens, I guess.
I think so. Also, what's tricky here is as you're coming into turn three, to get into that pit lane, or out of turn four, it should say, to get in the pit lane, you've really got to wash your speed off very quickly, so you don't get pinned for speeding in pit lane.
Yeah, it is very easy to get pinged in pit lane. It's a very short pit entrance, and you're going to be coming in at some speed. You're going to be well over 200 and sort of 60 kilometers per hour as you're coming through that corner. And if you don't scrub off that speed quick enough, you will get pinged very, very quickly indeed.
Most definitely.
So,
Uh,
just quickly before we get to the gridding up, we've got a couple of moments. I'm just going to go through the championship standings. It is DPR's Andrew Dyson in the lead of the championship at the moment. No wins to Dyso's name, but he has been consistent all season long. Sorry, one win, of course, Daytona. Sorry about that. Forgot about that one. Looking off the results, it doesn't show that bit yet. But yeah, one win at Daytona, that has really helped him out. But he is in the lead of the championship. His teammate, Neal Pearson, just behind 10 points off. Third place, we have Philip Worley. It's a DPR 1-2-3 at the moment, 3 points off the lead of the championship. Fourth is Jason Martin. Fifth is Edward Foster. Brad Allison in sixth. Seventh is Brenton Hobson. Eighth is Danny G and Michael Skurlock. And then in 10th place is Riley Curtis at the moment. 41 points covering the top 10. So it is all to play for. Still a long way to go this season.
oh, definitely. It's a great distance still to go. Has Brad actually made it to the field tonight? Because I know he's been having issues with his equipment the last couple of weeks.
Yes, he is there. He is absolutely in and ready to go. So
Um,
hopefully all is well for him tonight. Of course, we have got 31 cars out here tonight because we do have the lucky 31 for the first time this season, starting towards the back of the grid. In 31st spot is Justin Witcher, who got through in that lucky 31 race, the very first running of that one. He actually got through and locked himself in for this race. So he's going to be hoping he can get some championship points scored, hope for a good race so he can hopefully get himself secured into a sort of more comfortable championship position. But let's run through the starting grid. Front row is Pearson and Barry Neal. Row 2, we have Skurlock and Jason Martin. Row 3 is Foster and Russell. 4 is Wally and Dyson. On the 5th row is Hobson and Danny G. 6th is Heddershide and Micklemore. 7th we have Joshua Carroll and Dave Douglas. 8th row is Nankervis and O'Shea. 9th is Schroeder and Lob. 10th we have Stevie Dub and Jai Schultz. Just behind him is Aidan Schultz and Tim Corn. Welcome back to the series, Timmy Corn. Patson and Turner on 23, 24. 25th is Curtis Traher just behind him. Then it's Spencer Phelps, Allison Jackson, and in the lucky 31st spot is Justin Witcher, as we say. So the people that didn't make it through to tonight's race will race in that lucky 31 race a little bit later on, and that's a half race distance, and the winner will lock themselves in for next week. But we have 31 cars out on track here for the Atlanta tonight. Who do we reckon is going to be looking good for a win?
Oh, look, I hope Dave can keep going with his turnaround. Last week he had a terrible race. Saturday night with us he had a great race. So I kind of sort of hope Dave can keep that run going now that he started on that winning way. But I mean to say, Ed Foster's good around here. So yeah, throw the marbles up and see how they land, I say.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this one turns out for sure. I'm going to go for Michael Scullock. He's been having a really good run here at Atlanta. We saw in the Xfinity cars last night, he was very quick. So watch out for him, starting just a little bit further behind Neal, Pearson and Barry Neal. Pace car is coming in. Going to get ready to go green, so we'll be quiet. Let's hear these cars roar away for the first lap here at Atlanta. We get a good run from Michael Skurlock. Neal Pearson up the front of the grid at the moment. It is Pearson versus Skurlock as they come across the line for lap number 3 here tonight. Battling it out, Barry Neal just slotting in behind. Watch out for Jay Russ. Jay Russell has been very quick recently on a really good run of form. It'll be interesting to see how he goes. Will we see Hobson coming up through the pack as well? Of course, another member of the Synergy team. Having a really strong start to this season. Of course, having that moment last time out, which cost him that first win in the Cup Series this season. And well, I think for all time, actually, I don't think Hobson's got the win yet, so he's going to be desperate to try and get that one. But Skurlock at the moment, bringing it to Neal Pearson. The battle at the front is giving us some good entertainment.
Definitely is. And you can see there in the background, Andrew Dyson. He's been having a good run in some of the other leagues he runs in. So he's now up in the 4th place. So that's a great run from him.
Yeah, really good. And Daiso is one of those other drivers, do not discount at all. He is good on those long runs, able to keep those tyres nice and, well, racy for the rest of the race. He could be one to watch out for. Good, clean start here tonight. We've got 155 laps remaining. It is a long old race here, 160 laps around Atlanta. That is going to tire out those tyres and tire out the drivers as well. It's a track that takes it out of you here. There's not a lot of times that you get to rest and just ease off. But yes, good start from everybody. Hopefully we get to see this green flag stint get a nice long run.
Yeah, definitely. When further back in the pack, mate, we've got the teammates coming together. JCW and Daniel H working together to try and move through the field. Everyone getting the tongue around things tonight.
Full of tongue twisters tonight, of course. We're going to punish you by making you pronounce Danny G's name 6 times in a row.
Thanks, mate.
JCW up there as well, just behind Dave Douglas at the moment. We've got some good battles going on. Cars running 2 wide across the line. Looks like people are able to make the double runs work here at the moment. The front is kind of settling into a single line format, but we do often see here at Atlanta it's a little bit tricky to run sort of 2 wide, and they're making it work. This new car seems to be loving this track at the moment. So just scanning through the field at the moment. Big gainers, big starts for a few people. Dyson up 4 positions. Mickelmore up 4 positions. Kai Turner up 5 positions. Aidan Schultz up 4 positions. Luke Traher up 4 positions at the moment. They're the biggest gainers of the field as it stands. Of course, I'm sure that will change as this race goes on. Not the easiest place to pass, though, Atlanta sometimes. Obviously, when you run that low line, you do tend to cook your tyres a little bit quicker. Running the high line can sometimes ease off the tyre wear a little bit, reduces some of the heat build up, but it can bring a few perils to the car as you run very close to the wall.
Yeah, definitely. What you've got to do here, Carl, is really set your move probably out of turn 2, where you want to get the guy to come up high, where get him to think you're going to pass him around the outside, and then as you turn down hard, but not too hard, because these things will snap away from you, and get the run on the inside down the back straight.
Yeah, just jumping back a little bit at the moment. JCW making a nice move on Dave Douglas, his teammate Darren Hederscheid, but just behind him at the moment. But Douglas manages to seal that position back. So nice little run going on back for P11 at the moment. Jason Martin just ahead in P10. Been a rough start of the season for Jason Martin. You wouldn't believe it in championship points wise. He's still doing a very Jason Martin like job for the championship, but he seems to be struggling just to get to grips with his new car. So it'd be interesting to see how that one goes for the rest of the season, if he starts getting his head around this new car and running up in the more traditional spots for Mr. Jason Martin.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just a little bit further back for 14, 15 and 16. And Aidan Schultz is back there in 17th. And he's having a ding-dong battle with Darren Lobb and Brad Allison. He's tried to have a couple of good looks underneath Darren, but he just can't get it to stick. Here he goes again, having another run.
Yeah, Darren Lobb making a bit of a name for himself, having some good runs. O'Shea just behind him as well, 2 of the DPR rookies to ANZCAR, and they've been having some really good drives on the oval side of things, so nice to see that. Good to see Jamie Nankervis as well getting through tonight into the race here. He is going to be looking for another solid run, of course. It's nice to see Jamie getting a good run out there. He's currently in P15 at the moment. Started there and he's currently sitting there. So it is Chopper Skurlock in the lead at the moment, but Barry Neal is starting to catch up to the front here. We saw last night in the Xfinity cars a little bit of a different car, of course, but Skurlock had a little bit of the hare and the tortoise race, was doing the old hare move of running away early in the start, and then starting to fall back a little later in the stint. At the moment, he's keeping a relatively balanced pace, just in the lead of the race, not running away too quickly, not using too much of those tyres up, but he seems to be pretty comfortable leading there, sitting in first place at the moment. Barry Neal is desperate to try and get past him, to try and get into a slightly more cool air position, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just back looking at Josh Mickelmore and JCW for a couple of laps there, mate, while we're concentrating on the front. JCW was in a box. He couldn't get a run around Josh or his teammate there, Jason Martin. But he's been able to get past Jason, and now he's putting the work down on Josh.
Yeah, another driver that's had a bit of a rough season is Josh Micklemore. He's got a bit of damage to the front right of that car, actually. I'm just going back to see what happened there. So he's actually obviously had a bit of a touch somewhere, probably on the wall. Yep, on the exit of turn number 4, I believe it was. So yeah, he's had a bit of a moment, just giving the wall a little nibble, but it's not slowing him down at the moment. So that's some good news. Hopefully his night does run better than normal. Meanwhile, Neal Pearson up the front makes a move, gets a nice run on Barry Neal there. Pearson getting up into P2 now, slowly starting to move the red-flavoured DPR car up the field, getting past the Aotearoa car of Barry Neal.
That's another person you can't count out for a win here tonight, Carl, is Barry Neal. He just seems to be able to make his tyres last. I don't know how he does it. Last year, I tried to watch him as much as I could, I should say, and he just can make those tyres last.
Yeah, we've seen it in the past with Barry. He's just had some incredibly good long-run pace, and he's just able to eke things out sometimes, and you just watch his driving style and doesn't seem to do anything different to some other drivers, but I think it's just that little bit of input, little changes here and there that he does, and it just makes the difference. One of those drivers that he's very strong in long green stints, so he's going to be hoping for a nice green period right now. Cars are starting to break up into a little bit of a double pack at the moment. It is Foster just at the back of the first pack in 8th position, and then we go back to Josh Micklemore a little bit further back, and that is the secondary pack of around about down to Riley Curtis, 23, back about P23 at the moment for those cars. Meanwhile, up at the front, Barry Neal starting to make a little Skurlock, getting underneath him in turn number 2. Can't make the move done there, but he's trying to put Skurlock off, trying to make him run that high line. Neal running that low line at the moment, getting a good run. Skurly going to get a little bit better exit off the corner here. Running the high line just gives you that little bit more speed off the corner. So Barry just needs to try and get underneath him, carry a little bit more speed into the corner, unsettle Skurly a little bit, and try and force him to go maybe a little bit too high, lose a little bit too much speed, and try and get that good run. He's going for it, can't quite do it this time round. Will he be able to do it through 3 and 4?
Just further back in the pack, Brad seems to be dropping down. It looks like he's got a little bit damage on the right side of his car. So I think he's not going to be a factor tonight because he's dropped 5 spots while I've been watching him.
Yeah, that is a shame. Quite a lot of damage on the front of that car as well, and wondering if it's a similar thing that happened to Josh Micklemore. It's just got loose through turn 4 for him. I'll just look back through the recording and see what happened to Brad Allison. A bit of contact actually between himself and Stevie. Himself and who was that? Jay Schultz there. So he's had contact with Jay Schultz. So Schultz has gone up into the wall and then gone down and flipped the front of the 03 of Brad Allison. And that's going to be costly for both of those drivers tonight. Meanwhile, up the front, still side-by-side racing the 22 on the 350 at the moment. Not much Barry can do here. He's really trying to get through. And as he does this, the longer he does this, the more he's going to hurt those tyres. But he finally makes the move stick.
Yeah. I was going to say, needs to pull up now once he gets that rear end clear.
Decisive chop up there, but Skurly's not going to sit back and take it. He's going to try and get back in the lead of this race. A little wiggle on the rear of the 350 there. That's given Neal Pearson a nice run. Look at how much room he gained there. He got a fantastic little bit of draft there and just closed up to the front very quickly. And as these two battle, it's just slowing the pace down a little bit at the front, allowing the rest of the pack to catch up. We have now got a huge line of cars from first down to Luke Trager in 19th position. There is barely anything separating these vehicles.
Free wide.
Oh, contact! Oh, what a save! What a save by all three drivers there.
That is unbelievable.
Whoa. That was a huge moment. Skurlock getting on the below line, just goes up, catches Barry Neal, hits Barry Neal in the side. Those two go sideways. Neal Pearson saves it. Andrew Dyson has to check up there as well. Huge moment. That would have been a huge accident. What a save.
Great save. That's some skillful driving there. That could have been disaster for anything up to 15 cars because they were all very close there.
Yeah, that was that was me calling a caution, almost levels of yeah, that's going to be a caution, and all of a sudden it doesn't happen because they managed to get the pointing straight again. Brilliant driving. A little bit of damage to the rear of Barry Neal's car. A little bit of damage to the back of Neal Pearson's car. Not too much though. He's managed to get away relatively scot-free. Skurlock got a bit of damage, a wrinkle to the front. Not a huge amount of damage. I'm going back to see if Dyso has got some damage on the nose of his car.
It doesn't look like Dyso's got anything there.
He got away lucky. He used his brakes at the right time there and managed to just get it slowed up enough. Really good situational awareness by all of those drivers in the top there. Like I was saying, there was nothing covering the top 19 cars there. So if that crash had happened, I think we would have seen about 19 cars out of this race.
Yeah. Ed's dropped back for a few positions from that. I noticed he dove down towards the inside wall to avoid it.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I think in that situation I probably would have done the same. So it's you know, when you're in a position like that, it's all about avoiding the incident, and sometimes that can cause a wreck of its own. So the fact we got nothing out of that just fills my heart with joy, because that is just great driving all throughout the field, because it's so easy to slam on the brakes when you see somebody going sideways in front of you and then lose the rear and then cause a secondary accident. So very good driving by everybody there. Skurlock was on the radio straight away, apologising there. He didn't realise it was a free wide situation. But yeah, great save from Barry Neal and Neal Pearson. So looking through the field, big gainers at the moment. Aidan Schultz in 14th position, 7 gained. Luke Trager is on an absolute charge as well in the way down machine. The 43 is charging his way, 10 positions gained so far this race. Really working his way through the pack nicely. Looking a little bit further back, we've got the Locked On iRacing car, Tippy Corn in there as well. Good to see him back in the cup and back racing as well. And of course, all the news and results for ANZCAR can be caught on their podcast, Locked On iRacing. So if ever you miss one of our races, you can catch up with the details there, of course, or on the ANZCAR Facebook page or ANZCAR.com, of course, for all the latest news and results and information. And if you're looking to race in ANZCAR as well, head over to ANZCAR.com.
Luke's just made up another spot, mate. He's just got past Jamie Curvis. Well, he did, and now Jamie's fighting back on the outside. So they're having a great battle, these two.
Yeah, look, it's great to see, and it's nice to see Luke on it at the moment. He's really pushing his way. He just got past Jason Martin, who's just fallen down the field. Jason's really sort of plummeting down the order. I'm wondering what happened to him, because he has dropped 13 spots now. So I'm wondering if he checked up a little bit in that accident and just lost positions, just in avoidance there. Going back to a bit of a look, see if I can spot anything from Jason Martin's one. Yeah, I think that was it. He went down a little bit lower than everybody else to try and avoid something. A little bit of contact between Danny G and Dave Douglas as well a little bit earlier on, but nothing major between those two. Just a little love tap between them. So as I say, still green here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. 32nd lap of the race, 128 remaining. Still a long way to go. These tyres are going to start being pretty second-hand by now. The drivers will be probably sort of going, wouldn't mind a caution in the next 10 laps so I can get some fresh boots. Of course, there are 4 tyre set limits, so the tyres you start on, and then you've got 3 sets to change throughout the race. So you can't go changing them willy-nilly. You have to make sure you've got some tyres left at the end.
Yeah, so just on that battle for 15, 16, 17, mate, Luke's got it done. He's up in the 15th, and Josh has finally got past. Yeah, sorry, not Josh. Jason has finally got past Jamie, so he's back up in the 16th.
Yeah, good battle starting to happen here. JCW, Joshua Carroll, Aiden Schultz, Luke Traher, Jason Martin, all in relatively, it's a battle for 13th position at the moment, which is sort of unfamiliar spots for these guys. We're used to seeing them a bit further up the field, but the competition has been so fierce this season as they go 3 wide for Jason, for Traher and Carol Walden and Schultz. They break it up as they get across the start-finish line, but they are starting to get really racy. Dave Douglas just in front of this pack, so this is the battle for 12th at the moment, and it is pretty racy stuff. But we were talking before off air about the competition just rising this season, and it really has. There is so much competition out there. It's so hard to, for one, get yourself locked in, and two, actually, race each other, because we're talking less than, millionths of a second between some of these guys now.
Yeah, definitely. It's a credit to these guys, and they're now racing Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights. A lot of these guys. So they're starting to get to know each other really well, and there's a lot more respect between the drivers now, and the way ANZCAR does things, it is a tough show to get into.
Yeah, very much so. Of course, if you're new to ANZCAR, well, first of all, welcome. Welcome to the stream, of course, here at Performance E-Streaming on YouTube, and of course ANZCAR on Facebook. But there is only 30 spots available. Now, the top 20 in the championship are locked in for the race. Then the final 10 spots are qualifying. So if you're fast in qualifying, you'll get yourself locked in, get yourself through. Now we also have the lucky 31 as well, and that's for all the drivers that miss out. And we had, I think, 49 drivers show up for tonight's race, so there'll be 19 odd drivers racing for that 31st spot tonight. That's the second race that goes on untelevised. A slightly shorter race where they've got the chance of locking themselves in to next week's race. Currently, the person that did that last time is Justin Witcher, up in 25th position. So he's having a nice run in the 12, of course. Nice to see him in the series, in the race, of course. Well-deserved spot, and it's a hard thing to do. Winning that lucky 31 race is not an easy talent, because there are so many drivers that aren't getting through, be it for bad fortune or just some unlucky positions in the early start of the championship. It is a tough race to win, so getting that 31st spot is by no means an easy thing to do, and he is making that pay off at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I've just been back down through the field, and one person that you're not used to seeing back way back in 23rd position at the moment is Ruben Phelps.
Yeah, Ruben having a bit of a quiet one tonight, just sitting down there in the 0.6, and quite a big gap from himself and Kai Turner in the 4.08 at the moment. Kai just a little bit ahead of him, a little bit attached to the front right of that car as well. Michael Trager just ahead, but it's just been a bit quiet tonight, and I just wonder if Ruben's just keeping it easy at the moment, just waiting to see what happens in the race, and then we'll possibly come out and come swinging a little bit later on. We've got our first pit stop though. Riley Curtis coming in. He's decided to throw a set of tyres on early. Quite a bit of damage to the front of Riley's car, so I wonder if he's come in to try and get a little bit of repair done as well as those fresh boots. But that could help him out a little bit later on. So he had a little bit of a nibble of the wall before he came in. So just a quick repair, but obviously those fresh tyres are going to help him out. He's the fastest man on track at the moment. Time of the 31.5. Leaders are in the 32.2s at the moment. So this could force a few people's hands, as they will have to sort of cover him off. So expect to see a few more people coming down pit lane, maybe in the next 5 or 10 laps.
Yeah, definitely. Once one person comes in, the bunch, everyone else around them seems to think it's a good idea and come in and take some tyres and fuel. And yeah, as we said earlier, I definitely wouldn't like to be a right front tyre here. That would be starting to hurt on some of these guys that are running the lower line.
Yeah, it's definitely going to start heating up that right front. And it's one of those things you just got to be careful of as well. If you take it too far, take it too long, you do start to run the risk of that tyre deciding to let go as well. So the longer this stint goes on, more chance of that happening. We've got a great battle going on for P11 at the moment. Dave Douglas, Aidan Schultz, Michael Skurlock, Traher, Joyce W, pretty much that whole pack at the moment running too wide, and that's going to start hurting their tyres soon. But this sort of battle is the thing that we might see a caution flag come out for. This late in the stage, these tyres are going to be starting to fall off a little bit, as we do in the background. We see O'Shea and who was that? That was Jamie and Curvis getting into each other. Huge accident there in the background. As I always say, this is the kind of thing we can expect a caution from, and the caution comes.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, unlucky there. So a little bit of net code involved in that one there for O'Shea and Nankervis. Nankervis was running up high up against the wall. O'Shea's come across and didn't really make contact. It was sort of more of a sort of, as we say, netcode situation. He got a little bit too close to Nankervis though, and then around they go, and that's going to bring out the first of the caution flags tonight. Lap 45 we're on. First caution, this is going to give those drivers up the front the chance to pit and slap some new tyres on.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't be surprised to see everyone in the field come in and take tyres and top off with fuel.
Yeah, I think it would be a very fine line between bravery and madness to stay out there, I think. So I do expect to see everybody coming in. Might see a few people just stick it out as, oh, who was that? That was Jaden Russell just giving the old cone a little bit of a nudge as he's coming into pit lane. He might just get a little slap on the wrist for that one, as he has to just take a little bit of avoiding action to Barry Neal in front of him. Not much room left between those guys. But this is where it's all pays off, getting in pit lane, getting those tyres. Riley Curtis, of course, he stopped 8 laps ago, so he's going to stick it out there. He was a lap down, though, so he's going to get that lap back. So he's going to be on slightly older tyres. He's going to be out of sync right here. That's not what he would have wanted to see, of course. He would have wanted it to go a little bit longer for himself. So that strategy not quite paying off, but he should be, I think he should be back on the lead lap after this, though. So that is some silver lining to the cloud, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Just looks like everyone up and down pit road took the 4 tyre option. No one decided to just take the 2, either insides or out. So everyone will be back on a level playing field.
Yeah, a lot of people. It's one of those things of, not taking. I think honestly, it's worth taking all of those tyres in a situation like this, because it's the cars, especially this new generation of car, can get really unsettled if you've only taken if you're only taking a couple of tyres. So it's very much again one of those fun things about the new cars. I've seen a few people getting some repairs done as well. So some long times in pit road for people like Skurlock, who decided to get some repairs done. He was stationary for 31 seconds. Allison 28 seconds. Tim Cornt and Kai Turner 39 seconds. 42 seconds for Spencer Patterson. And Schroeder 52 seconds. So some long stops out there just to get some repairs done.
Yeah, definitely. And I can tell you one thing, Carl. This would be they'd be feeling right now like after 40 odd laps that they could get out and walk faster than this. We're down to 65 mile an hour. So what's that? 100 and
102?
102, 105.
105.
So it would be like jumping from a rocket ship into a sailboat at the moment.
Yeah, it throws you out when you have to jump down to slow speeds. It really feels really strange. One of the things I found funny moving to Australia was of course, we work in miles over in England, and the speed limits are a little bit higher and everything felt so very slow in Australia. It sort of, 70 odd miles per hour on the old motorways and things like that. You'd usually be doing about 90 anyway, but jumping over to Australia, everything was just so much slower, and I just didn't understand why it was so slow. But it is an odd feeling when you're going from race pace to pace car pace. It feels like it is absolutely going at a snail's pace. Of course, while it's doing that, it means that your tyres cool down, the car cools down. Well, the car heats up a bit, unfortunately. The tyres cool down, the car gets hot, of course, because these things are not built to go slow. They need to go fast to get that cool air into the engine. So when you're sitting.
Lights are out in the pace car.
So getting ready to go back to live racing here. Of course, now everybody's on fresh tyres, so it's getting that start done right. So who is going to get that restart right? Who's going to get it wrong? Of course, Neal Pearson will become the effective pace car when it peels into pit lane just here off turn 4. When's he going to launch it? Will it be early? Will it be late? He's waiting, he's waiting, he's waiting, he's waiting, and he launches it now. Gets a very nice restart there from Neal Pearson. Philip Worley just behind as well. Gary's along nicely. Look at Dyson dropping down to the low line. Looks like DPR are trying to get all ducks in a row at the moment, trying to get 3 cars in the top 3, but Barry Neal is desperately trying to stop that as he goes sideways. Oh, Neal saves it, but it's going to lose some paces there. Whoa, the second super save from Barry Neal there, but he's going to lose a handful of places.
Yeah, can someone rush out some underwear to Ed? I think he may need a fresh set of underwear.
Yeah, that would have been that would have been one of those moments where if you were sitting on a lump of coal, you'd now have a diamond underneath you. Very, very lucky. We could actually we've seen somebody spin in front of Ed and him just keep as cool as possible. We've got 3 wide further back as Scarlett has to drop down. He just gets pushed down a little bit there, and now they're running 2 wide, but there was 3 to 4 wide action here at Atlanta, which is a hard thing to do because this track is not that wide.
Braver men than me. I definitely wouldn't want to be 3 wide down here anyway. Maybe coming across the start-finish line on lap 150.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, we got Mickelmore going round. We're gonna get a flag. It's a big accident in the background. No caution just yet. Huge accident in the rear though. Josh Mickelmore loses the rear of the car going through the corner as now the caution flag flies. Mickelmore goes round into his teammate Jason Martin, up into Barry Neal. Kai Turner gets caught out in that one as well. Big accident, and that's caused a secondary accident which has got even worse behind them, and that's the reason for that caution flag. I think Kai Turner absolutely sailing the car around. He spins it. Does anybody go into him? No, he just about saves it.
Barry's car's got him the majority of his damage on the rear, and the right front, Carl. So that's going to hinder him after such a good early run.
Yeah, it's I guess your luck has to run out somewhere, and his luck did finally run out. Just uncharacteristic mistake there. Josh Mickelmore just goes sideways just on the edge of the corner. We've seen it time after time with this new generation of car on cold tyres. They tend to struggle. Once again, it's happened. And look, a absolute veteran in Mickelmore. It's not like it's not like this is just catching out the rookies. This is catching out all of the drivers. And to catch somebody out like Mickelmore, that says a lot right there. But going into your teammate is the last thing you want to do. The 31 into the 21, a big impact there for Jason Martin underneath him as well. And then we almost didn't get the caution, but unfortunately Kai Turner, sort of in avoiding it, he ended up fishtailing it down the straight. I think he had a little bit of contact with Jason there, you can see. And then he tries to save the car, and then just can't get that correction right. He's almost got it, and then all of a sudden it's going to snap to the left, and then it's going to spin right around, and then nothing you can do there.
Yeah, unfortunate. Just a few cars under this caution has taken a chance to come in. Greg Spence, Justin Witcher, they've all toured the pit lane, and Barry Neal is still sitting in pit lane.
Yeah, I think he's got some repairs to be done, I reckon. Spence Witcher and Jai Schultz all just taking fuel as they came into pit lane, so not worrying about any tyres. So they're just getting a little bit of top up of fuel. The rest of them, Riley Curtis, I believe, maybe have taken some tyres. The rest of them are slightly longer pit stops, of course, but a lot of them needed to get repairs done as well. Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of tire knowledge sometimes, which makes things a little bit tricky. So it would be lovely if we had graphics that actually let us know when people took tires or didn't take tires. But we have to play guessing games or go back and look at the replays for that one. So that's sometimes why we make mistakes.
All right, Carl. I've just done the 100-yard sprint down the pit lane. Barry has still got some damage. Been able to get some damage repairs, enough to get him back out. But he's got about another 5 or 6 minutes of damage to make that car competitive again. And at May, I've just seen a puff of smoke. I don't know whether it's not, the motor's still running. So yeah, unfortunate for Barry tonight.
Yeah, that is not the night that you would want.
He's going to come back in the pit lane by the look of it. Let's try and get some more work done before we go green.
Wondering if that was a lockup or if it was the engine. I'm just going back to have a little bit of a look at that one. So yeah, it's gone from bad to worse, unfortunately, for Barry, and that's what we need. Yeah, just luckily a locked tyre there, so a locked front left tyre for Barry Neal. That's probably better than having your engine go pop at least.
Yeah, Jade Schultz and Justin Witcher back into the pit lane, and they're on their way out again for a few more quick repairs. Jamie's in the pit lane, and Dylan O'Shea is still sitting in pit lane. I reckon he's not maybe done.
Yeah, I think we've lost Dylan O'Shea and Kai Turner, so two cars retired from this race. A lot of damage to Dylan O'Shea. We might see him limp back out a little bit later on just to try and pick up a few spots if he can. But pace car is coming in. We've got 105 laps remaining here at Atlanta Motor Speedway in Georgia, of course. It is Neal Pearson going to be leading away once more. Philip Worley on the outside. DPR have managed to shuffle themselves into a relatively good spot right here. How many times have we said that this season? DPR having a strong one. Pace car comes in. When is Pearson going to drop the loud pedal? Does it now? Gets a good restart there. Hedershin gets a little bit of wheel spin in the background, but they all get away pretty cleanly. But it is DPR leading nicely away at the front. Foster in fourth at the moment, the first from non-DPR cars. Hobson in fifth, working his way nicely through the field. Danny G6, and biggest mover of the night, Luke Traher, up 19 positions. He is working his way very well through the pack tonight.
Great run by him there, mate. Up that far in this tough competition tonight. So it's he'd be happy with that.
Yeah, he's going to be super chuffed with that one. They were running 3 wide again, a little bit further back, having a very tight battle between Dave Douglas, Stevie Dubb, and Daniel Hederschi. Really good battling going on throughout the pack at the moment. Of course, cars want to get the tyres up to nice operating temperatures. They'll be a bit warmer than they were on the last restart. But as we know with these new generation cup cars, they do take a couple of laps to get absolutely settled, and then they feel lovely to drive. But for those first couple of laps, you're holding on for dear life.
Definitely are. I'll tell you what, Luke Traher is a man on a mission. He's pulled down to the running that middle line. He's the only one in that middle line. I know, middle line trying to get 3 lanes working. So he definitely wants to get his way to the front.
Yeah, it's been a good week for Luke Traher, actually. Of course, he got the win in the trucks on Monday night. He made his debut in the 87 series for the Weekend Warriors as well on Saturday night, and beat the 87 master himself, Mr. Edward Foster. So Ed was regretting his decision to invite Luke over to give them a try, I am sure. But great racing at the moment. Speaking of Foster and Traher, they're getting close to each other. Hobson as well up in that battle. Traher really trying to make those moves done. but really fighting out. Hobson getting down on the low side of Foster now. He's trying to move his way forwards at the moment for SRM. Having a nice run at the moment. The Synergy car is really working well for him at the moment. We've seen this with Hobson. He's had some really good tyre saving as well. So he could be in one for a really good shout tonight, and he definitely earns it. Oh, Dyson gets a little bit sideways off the corner, manages to save that snap though.
That group from Luke Traher back, I'll tell you what, they are all trying to put moves on each other. And it's only going to take a slight bump, and we're going to see another big wreck and another caution.
Well, as is often the case with oval racing, all it takes is that one little bump and you're going to see a big caution. These guys, there is absolutely nothing separating them. The gap from first to eighth at the moment is about a second, and then less than a second covers sort of eighth down to sort of 17th position. It is really close stuff at the moment. There is barely anything covering the field. And this is exactly what we love to see, of course, because the thing about oval racing is it is a tricky thing to master, and always fun.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's it doesn't take much, but when you're close racing and you get in the side draft, or you're right up underneath the guy in front of your wing, it's there's no better racing than draft racing, and we're kind of sort of seeing some of it here tonight.
We are up at the front. Dyson is starting to make a move on his teammate Pearson. These two in the battle for the championship lead as well. Dyson getting into the lead now. Pearson in the middle of a DPR. Well, it's a DPR trio, really. I mean, it's like making a sandwich out of 3 bits of bread, I guess. But Wally just on the back there. Hobson trying his best to get up into this battle, along with Foster. Jaden Russell as well sitting there for Synergy. So Foster in a Synergy sandwich at the moment, trying his best to get up there. Look out for Danny G in the background. The Silent Assassin is sneaking his way through the group and working his way through the field nicely. Danny G, of course, one of those drivers that usually we don't notice until the last lap of the race, when he's usually in a really good spot or leading. So, as we've got 95 laps remaining here tonight at Atlanta for the 24/7 Sim Services ANZCAR Cup, we are really looking to a good finish. These cars seem to be working fantastic here, running too wide without any trouble by the looks of things.
Yeah, they've been able to run side by side and not get any side push or anything off each other. So let's hope that they've finally got the cars sorted. And I know that that these are a fixed setup here tonight, and a modification of two setups to make one, and it seems to be working for them. So let's hope that we can keep getting these setups sorted.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes the world of difference, the setup. It's amazing how much you can change the car, and just changes how things go. These cars can be very, very, very sketchy if the setup's just a little bit wrong, and it can really catch drivers out. And I've seen that happen to myself as well. These cars are very much on a knife edge. The new live rear axle really making a difference to these things. Obviously, a big change from the last generation of cars. They now have an extra gear to them. They have a sequential gearbox, a live rear axle, and all these changes have made a completely different beast to the car, of course.
Yeah, and I think what one of the big things too is the larger tyre wheel size, but a smaller tyre in the sidewall. So there's not the warp in the tyre. It's like a solid block of rubber now.
Yeah, of course, going to a nice low-profile tyre changes things up a huge amount on a race car, of course, because you used to use the tyres a bit as suspension, of course, and you'd have that little bit of wobble in them, and that changes things up. The lower profile tyre as well tends to be a little bit trickier to heat up, takes a bit longer to get to operational temperature. It acts differently as well over a long run. And these are all things that catch you out as a driver, and we've seen it numerous times at the start of the season, but it's now starting to get to a stage where I think everybody's starting to get to grips with this car. They're starting to get to the point where they're understanding it a bit more. They're understanding the weird little snaps that it used to have early on. They're not happening quite as much. And as they get settled in, this car is looking to be one heck of a race car. It seems to be giving us some really good racing recently.
Yeah, it definitely is. Look, it looks like we're starting to get the handle on it on the ovals, but I'm not sure when ANZCAR goes to a road circuit or a circuit course. Um, we go there in 2 weeks' time. We go to the Glen on a Saturday night in 2 weeks' time. So I guess a few of the ANZCAR boys will be tuning in to watch us on the Glen to see what happens there.
Well, we're off to Kota next week, so
Oh, okay.
we get. I think the Weekend Warriors boys will be coming over and tuning into us.
I think I'll be up here in the box again next week.
Yeah, so I don't think anybody's looked forward to Kota as much as this season, just to find out what happens to these cars. But yeah, these things have been a bit of a weird one on the road courses. We'll see how that one turns out, and it's going to be interesting to see how they go on some of the much shorter sort of ovals as well. Of course, once we get to the short tracks, again, that's going to be a complete different kettle of fish, and we're going to see some very different racing there, rather than this sort of the sort of slightly faster, sort of slightly cookie cutter tracks that we've been running recently. Phoenix, of course, was a bit of a start for that, but once we get to the real short tracks, these things are going to be an absolute different beast. And then, of course, we've got a dirt track coming up as well. So that's going to be a completely insane thing when that happens.
I don't know how it's going to go on dirt because with these things sitting lower and the dirt, well, it depends if they get the dirt compacted and dried out nicely without the ruts, because the fuses on these things will be hitting the dirt a great deal, I'd say.
I think that's going to be a problem that we'll have to solve when we get to it, but definitely something to look forward to. As Jaden Russell starts to make a bit of a move on the low side here on Philip Worley, getting up past, at the moment, Worley gets a good run, or a little bit of a blink there for Russell. Manages to save the car though, no issue there, but not something you want to have happen when the car disappears to the shadow realm with those little bits of a blink. But it is, at the moment, Neal Pearson leading Andrew Dyson. Brenton Hobson is currently sitting in third position. Another really strong run from Hobbo, really coming along so nicely on the oval side of things. We were talking a little bit about it with Jaden Russell as well. These two drivers coming from a road racing career onto the ovals, they had a few little niggling issues in the beginnings, but this season they have come alive on the ovals and really started up in the competition. As Foster gets a good run on the outside of J. Russ. Foster up there with Danny G just behind him. Luke Traher there as well. Tries to pinch him into the corner. Can't quite do it. Foster running that high line now. He is keeping as high as possible. Trying to keep those tyres in a nice working condition. See if he can work his way a little bit further up. It is Worley versus Russell. They're in behind. You can see that battle going on at the moment. They are really going for it. There are still battles going on throughout the field as well. Michael Skurlock getting up nicely up into P10 after having to get quite a big service done and a lot of repairs to his car. So he's managing to make that work despite a big hit to his car.
I've just jumped back and had a look at Jamie's car, and I'll tell you what, mate, that is one second-hand looking car. And he's about 10 mile down on the rest of the field, so it won't be long before the front runners catch him.
Yeah, that thing is it's not looking great, is it?
No.
If you're a bonnet sponsor on that car, you're not making your money today, that's for sure. but a lot of damage to the front end of that vehicle. And, stuff like that, we jokingly say it would be great for engine cooling, but often what happens is when you have damage like that, you've usually put a big hole in the radiator and damaged it, which means the car does not respond well to temperature and starts to struggle. So, interesting to see how these ones go, of course, and getting this car round tonight it's been some interesting different tactics as well, of course. Usually here at Atlanta, it's more just a lifting off as a little dab of brake here and there just to get the car turned in. But I think drivers are relying a little bit more on brakes than normal with this new car. It seems to be responding well to just a little bit of a drag of a brake, getting it nice and settled through the corner.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Carl. I find myself dragging the brake a little bit more than I did last time in the previous gen car. And it just helps to turn the car in and settle mid-corner.
Yeah, I've said it before. It's this car. It's strange as it sounds, but it sort of responds well to sort of driving it like a Skippy, the Formula Skip Barber car. Where you just drag the brake through the corner a little bit, keep the throttle down, and it just helps turn the car a little bit. And can't get two more different cars, I'd say, than a Skip Barber and a NASCAR Cup car, but they seem to respond quite well to similar driving styles.
We're three wide with Dave Douglas, Aidan Schultz, and Ruben Phelps, all the way through the back end of the main straight and into turn one. That was some great driving and great distance to respect given to each other there.
A little bit further up, Foster trying to make moves on J. Russ and Worley, and they are really desperate to get past at the moment. Foster is trying all different kinds of strategies at the moment, trying different lines, but just can't quite make it work.
I was going to say, Carl, that they seem to be running further up track out of into turn 1 and 2. It seems like they're getting closer and closer to the fence as the race goes on. So maybe the groove's moving up track a little bit.
Yeah, watching Neal Pearson up the front, he's tending to run a slightly higher line than sort of normal, and it seems to be that high line is working kind of like
Knoxville in a sprint car.
Yeah, that's it. I was trying to think of the track, but yeah, it definitely is. It's really favouring that high line at the moment. Those people that are comfortable up there making it work, definitely favouring them. They're able to carry a lot more speed.
Yeah,
Of course.
it's just that last time I was here, we were below that seam mark in the cars, and they all seem to be just above it or right on that join seam and that top layer of asphalt.
Yeah, it's definitely seems to be the chosen line, especially through turns 1 and 2, 3 and 4. A little bit of a lower line, but through the first couple of corners here, that high line seems to be the definite choice here in the Cup car. You can see Dyson now trying to make a bit of a move on Brenton Hobson. Hobbo having a nice run, working his way up and starting to break up the DPR sandwich. They get so close going onto the back straight. Hobbo up top, Dyson on the inside. Dyson just braking a little bit earlier there than Hobson. You can see just the way he dropped back. He's using a bit more brake at the moment. Hobson obviously just letting the car breathe a little bit more. As Wally gets a big snap on the exit of turn 4, manages to save the car, but this is going to give Jaden Russell the opportunity to get a run here for 4th place. They get side by side as Jaden Russell tries to make his way through. Dyson now in the grips of Jaden Russell. Can't quite make it work. Very close to contact there between Wally and Russell. So much fighting going on. Meanwhile, Foster and Danny G are just sitting back there watching this battle happen. Going, oh, look, we'll just sit here, let you guys absolutely chew your tyres up. We've done 41 laps on these tyres now, so, it's a fairly long stint. It's all contact there between Russell and Wally. Just the slightest contact into the corner. That's going to unsettle Wally and give Russell a chance to get past there. A nice little bump and run.
Yeah, definitely.
So much bad!
Oh no! Oh no!
Disastrous there. That is a huge, huge one. That's going to bring out the caution for sure. Contact there between Russell and Worley. And then Russell's come down the track. Just going back to look at that one as I've lost all my... I've just lost everything there. Sorry about that.
Oh,
That was a huge moment, and that caught out a lot of drivers. Foster being one of the main recipients there, as Worley goes bang into the side of him, and then up onto the track, and that's caused a huge accident. Ooh, a lot of cars caught up in that one, and unfortunately for Natari, a lot of their cars caught up in that one as well. I think pretty much every Natari car out there got caught up in that incident. The lucky driver in that one, I'd say, was Danny G. He kind of got out of that one almost scot-free, just a little tap to the front. But everybody else really gets caught up in that one.
that's unfortunate for Ed. That's 2 races in a row that he's running in the Cup cars where he's been the innocent bystander and been on the receiving end of not such a good result.
Yeah, we've seen it a few times. I mean, how many times have we seen Foster cuffed back to the front though after being recipient of an incident like this? I wonder if it's going to be another night of him rising like a phoenix from the ashes of a very big accident. I'd say that one will get looked at in the post race as well, because yeah, it looks like possibly a bit of a sort of like vengeance move at the front going into Worley, and that's caused a big, big accident. And then it's repercussions throughout the whole field. A lot of drivers getting caught up in that and having their nights taken out.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Foster coming out of the pit lane. His car doesn't seem to be too bad. A crease on the front and more on the right front, and it's more the rear end that's been damaged.
Yeah, he got heavy impact, I think, into the passenger door. I think that's where most of that impact came, and so he might have got out of that relatively scot free. But it's yeah, it's quite a bit of damage to that right front area. That right front panel is damaged, and it depends if there's a little bit of damage on that suspension. That's really going to cost him.
Yeah, definitely. Uh,
As we've had everybody come through pit lane, get a fresh set of boots, some fresh tyres, fresh fuel. 70 laps remaining here tonight. That was that. I think that was a race-changing incident for a lot of drivers there. That just really made things different. But a lot of drivers getting through that as well. One of the drivers that really got through that one relatively scot-free, I'd say, is going to be Luke Traher. He got through that one and just sailed by. So almost like the seas parting for him, he just absolutely skated through that one unscathed. And very lucky indeed. Little tiny bit of contact to the side of him, but barely any damage to the way down machine, the 43. So that is going to be helpful for him tonight. But a lot of other drivers not so lucky. Quite a lot of damaged cars out there.
yeah, I've just lost the car again. I know Paul Jackson's carrying some war wounds from that down the left-hand side of his car.
Yeah, worst of which is his rims. I mean, obviously some serious damage to those to cause them to turn that colour.
I think that's a carryover joke from us from about 2 years ago. I had a dig at him, and he said, "Why ever I was had anything to do with it, he'd run those purple wheels for me." So he's a man of his word. He keeps to his word. I'll give him that much.
He does indeed. One of the biggest losers out of that wreck, I'd say, though, is unfortunately Daniel Hedersheim. The winner of last week's race is very much out of this one. A lot of damage to that car. So it's going to be 69 laps as the pace car peels in. It is Dyson in the lead. Pearson in second on the outside row. So DPR locking out the front row again. Hobson just behind with Luke Traher, Danny G, Ruben Phelps, Dave Douglas, Jason Martin, Greg Spencer, Riley Curtis as we go back to green flag racing here. Nice start for Andrew Dyson. Greg Spencer had a bit of a rough one, I think. He had a little bit of a slow start, and that caused a slight check up behind. But cars getting through cleanly as we get back to green flag racing here. Looks like Traher is trying to work his way up. Hobson has managed to get up into P2 right here. Nice run from him. Look out for Ruben Phelps as well. He has had a very quiet night, but he's currently up there in 5th position.
Yeah, definitely. And look who else is there. My mate in the 10, Dave. Dave. So he's just worked his way through nice and quietly.
He is just sitting there and relaxing on the couch a little bit, but he is waiting to strike at any moment. Foster having a good run back up the field. He's managed to get into the top 10 already. He's up into 9th place, just ahead of teammate Joshua Carroll Walden, who is looking a little bit better, but quite a bit of damage to the right rear of that car. Luckily, of course, it is just a sticker for the exhaust pipes there. I think if they were the real exhaust pipes, that would be a much more dangerous thing. It does always make me laugh on the old NASCAR how they put the stickers on the exhaust pipes. It just seems such a waste of a thing to me personally. But oh well, it's got to be done, I guess.
With this fighting for the minor positions, and it's allowed Dyson to check out a little bit. He's now almost got a second on the gap on the field. So he's,
We've got a caution as who was that going up into Josh Mickelmore? I think it was Aiden Schultz having a big moment across the the sort of dogleg section of the oval bit there. He's got up into Michael Schroeder. He's got contact with Michael Schroeder and then had a big moment, got across the grass, went over the grass and then up into Josh Mickelmore, who himself caught Tim Corn right in the driver's position. Tim Corn got a very close look at Josh Mickelmore's car there. That was a scary accident for him.
That's another fast, high-speed accident. Once you get onto that grass, you kind of sort of only a passenger, so you can only put your foot down and it's come back on at high speeds. When you hit the grass, it tends to speed the car up a little.
Yeah, not much friction over the grass section, and that's caught a lot of drivers out. That was a big one. I'd say get a replay of that from Tim Corn's onboard camera. You'll get a very close look of Josh Mickelmore's car. Josh Mickelmore's run of bad luck continues here tonight, and that is him pretty much out of this race. As we go back to the caution, we have got a split of strategy now. We've got Neal Pearson, Dave Douglas, Edward Foster, Jason Martin, Joshua Carroll, Greg Spencer, Riley Curtis, Michael Skurlock, Brad Allison, Lob Schroeder, and pretty much the rest of the field coming into pit lane. But Dyson, Hobson, Phelps, Traher, Danny G, Barry Neal, and Patterson stayed out. So they are deciding to stick it out and keep an extra set of the tyres to the end of the race just in case we have another late caution. The rest of the field coming in, did they just get fuel? Did they get tyres? We will soon find out. Just having a bit of a look at some of these drivers. So, looks like they may have just got fuel, the most of them. So they're just topping up the tanks on fuel. A couple of them possibly taking some tyres. But most of them just getting a top up of fuel here, just so they don't have to do any fuel saving now. They're pretty much going to be fine for the rest of this race. So interesting split of strategies right here. So that could change things up. If we get a long green flag run here, that could really affect people at the front.
Yeah. By the look of it, mate, Ed took fuel. Neal Pearson only took fuel. Dave Douglas took fuel, and Jason Martin only took fuel. So none of those four took any tyres.
As we see there, the 31 Affinity sponsored car of Josh Mickelmore. Unfortunately, that thing is, I don't think that thing's going to be coming out anytime soon. If they get that one repaired for next week, I think they'll be doing a good job. So, last driver on the lead lap at the moment is Tim Corn. So, he is sitting there towards the back. That driver that very much got lucky in that last accident. He's coming in for some more repairs. As he, oh, he misses. The curse of the commentator working well there. Tim Corn missing the pit entry there a little bit, but coming in to get some possible repairs done. He might have caught himself a penalty for that one as well. So, that won't be so good if that happens. But yeah, that's knocked a fair few drivers off. We've got 23 cars remaining on the lead lap. We've still got a fair few out there though. 25 cars, 26 or 7 cars now still in the race, but a few of them are very wounded indeed. Some of them are missing more car than they've got left on them.
I've just been down and I had a quick chat to Michael Schroeder and Riley, and Riley reckons he's touched that wall that many times at turn 4. The wall may be looking for child support soon. So he's been finding that outside wall, and he said the right side of the car's not looking pretty, but yeah, everything's good with those two at A1 Sim Sport.
I did wonder why that wall had A1 Sim Sport plastered all across it, but that explains it, I guess.
If we get another caution, Riley said he's happy to come up and have a chat with us. So maybe, Carl, we can organise that next time round.
Yeah, we'll try and get that one all worked out next time round. Grab him up mid conversation as he's talking through his strategy and try and get some inside information there. Hopefully, though, as much as I love talking to Riley, I won't need to talk to him until the end of the race when he's up in the top 3, because hopefully we're not going to see another caution. We've got 61 laps remaining here. Dyson in the lead, Hobson on the outside. Dyson versus Hobbo. Who is going to win in the Battle of the Beards? Watch out for Phelps and Trager just behind them as well. Luke Trager having a fantastic run tonight. 25 positions, 22 positions gained, 25 positions gained for Phelps. Those two are the big gainers so far, but we are back to green flag racing here for 24/7 Sim Services ANZCAR Cup Championship, and it is Andrew Dyson leading away. So watching the race as they come along here, it is Dyson in the lead at the moment. There's a good little battle going on behind. Barry Neal working his way back up to P5 as well. That's a good comeback after that early incident. Foster sitting there as well. Again caught up in a heavy incident early in this race, and again working his way back through the field. It's not been the easiest of years for the two-time Cup champion, but he has been not giving up one bit and keeping pushing through there. Danny G sitting good as well. We've got a bit of an orange car lockout there between Barry Neal and Danny G. Danny G getting a good run down the outside there of Ruben Phelps. Neal Pearson just behind him. Remember, those guys have stopped for a little bit more fuel, so they don't have to worry about any fuel saving. They can go as hard as they want, whereas the cars up front might need to do a little bit of lifting and coasting to make it to the end if we get a long green flag stint here. Danny G getting a good push along in front of Neal Pearson at the moment on that low line. High line, Andrew Dyson dropping down. He drops down to cover off Danny G, and that's going to give Brenton Hobson the opportunity to get first position. If he can get a good run, gets a little bit of a slide off the corner. Will he get through into first place? Not quite on that lap, doesn't get a lap led, but he's got a good run into the corner. They go 3 wide as Dyson loses a little bit of grip. They're 3 wide just behind as well as Neal Pearson gets the lead of this race. Hobson goes down, chops down underneath him. He's going to have the inside line for turns 3 and 4. Very nice move from Brenton Hobson there.
That was a great move by Neal to take that, get that move right down on the low line. And then again, a great move by Neal to get back up in the second spot.
Yeah, really nice run there from Pearson. Look at Skurlock as well. He's trying to work his way back up. We saw him have quite a bit of damage, and he has got a lot of damage to the front of that car, but he's making it work at the moment. And again, that's something else we've seen with this new generation of cars. You can get a fair lick of front aero damage, and it doesn't seem to really... It's not great, of course, but it is not end of your race material like it would be in the Gen 6.
No, definitely not. And where Skirley's running, you know, he's tucked up right under Dyson. So, I mean to say, there's not a great deal of wind over that front end. It's be more coming down the sides of the car. So he wants to try and stick right up under Dyson's rear wing and have hit Dyson break the wind for him.
Yeah, sitting up and using that little bit of the old draft and making the car a little bit less draggy is always a nice feeling. And you know, if it is a fuel sensitive sort of end to this race, that could be a good little strategy as well, because obviously when you're out there in front using up a bit more fuel when you're sitting in behind reduces that fuel load a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. But I was just going to say, you'd be happy there's a couple of Toyotas there sitting up there in high positions. You got three Chevs, then you got four Toyotas, is it?
Well, we've got Michael Skurlock at the moment, Luke Traher, Barry Neal as well. So we've got a good outing from the Toyotas at the moment, which is always a nice thing. I mean, you know, go Toyota. And good point there from Ginger Soulthief as well, just mentioning the rear diffuser, of course, doing a lot more of the aero work these days for that aspect. But of course, when your car gets wrinkled at the front, it can act a bit like a parachute and can slow it down a tiny bit. But it's not been as noticeable, I'd say, with this new generation of car. As Neal Pearson gets a good run underneath Brenton Hobson now gets into the lead of the race. It is Chevrolet currently leading the race, which I'm sure will make you quite happy, Mr. Mark.
Mate, I'm impartial. I got no favouritisms. Go Chev.
Got no favouritisms. Not completely impartial as long as it's not affordably fine.
Yeah, that's it. We've got the leaders coming up on Paul. I just heard Paul call to him he's staying high, so good awareness from Paul Jackson there to let everyone know that he's going to stay high on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's actually a bit tricky because you got that little bit of a jut on the exit. Jackson gets caught out and there is a big accident behind. That's exactly what I was just about to explain here. Unfortunately, the way it juts out here is when you stay in high, you can actually get caught out here, and it does. It catches Paul Jackson out. Justin Witcher, Greg Spence, Loeb, as well as Riley Curtis and Philip Woolley, all taking heavy impact in that crash. I don't like to be proved right sometimes, and especially in situations like that, but yeah, that was one of those moments. As I was saying, sometimes it's can be tricky staying high here, especially as you go across the start-finish straight, because the way the walls sort of bounce out a little bit here, it's very easy to get caught up into, and that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, and you can see there, just the way the actual track curves, gets caught up and bang, there it is. Unfortunately, there was a lot of cars up high as well, really not giving, sort of not out of position. Of course, it's one of the things we do often say in the briefings is, you know, keep high when you're a lapped car, just keep out the way, and that's exactly what he was doing. But unfortunately, everybody racing behind him was running up high as well as they went across the infield there. Didn't have the chance to drop down either because he was getting passed by all of those leaders, so couldn't drop down to the low line either. So he really was sort of in a position where he was hung out to dry, and unfortunately, that's caused a big accident behind him.
Carl Riley's ready to talk to us, mate. If you want to drag him up here, and we'll have a quick chat.
Yes, we'll just grab Riley Curtis. So there we go. There we go. There we go. Riley Curtis. Before I would say welcome to the booth, but hope you're doing okay after that big incident there. Big hit in that moment for you.
She's kaput. 31 minutes required.
Oh, that is painful to hear. We heard you were struggling a little bit out there tonight with turn number 4 and owing some child support to that wall.
Yeah. I got the whole track a few times, and I guess that meatball flags me paying that child support. So
The child support flag is out and hunting you down. How was driving out there tonight? Obviously, it's not been the easiest run, but the car looks a little bit more settled than the last couple of races.
I got the wall quite early, so I went from, I don't know about everyone else, but the car was pushing a lot when it was clean to it was loose once I got that right front image. Um, Very tricky to get your head around being consistently quick. The car moves around a lot. That could be me, could be the car. I'm not too sure.
Always blame the
But
car.
in saying that, I had damage then, and I was hanging with that lead pack, and they were the ones who crashed, not me. They caused it, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, obviously not. You had nowhere to go in that incident. Stuff like that. It does make it hard, doesn't it?
Yeah. When you're on the brakes and everyone just stops in front of you and you can't miss them, it is what it is. It happens.
Well,
That's ovals.
as is the case. Well, luckily we're at Kota next week, so I mean, much easier track and no issue about the oval thing.
Yeah. No, Coda, everyone's favourite.
I'm glad you think it's an easier track.
Loads of grip. It's all happening. So
Exactly. That's going to be heaps of fun for you. Thank you so much, Riley. Always a pleasure to speak to you. Hopefully, next time it is because you're up in the top 3.
here's hoping. It's been a while since I've been up there, so I'm overdue in any series. So
Oh, that's it.
see what
It's.
happens.
I will. I'll say you haven't got a chance in the next 4 races, and you'll have to prove me wrong.
I don't think I've got a chance in the next 40 races. So.
Oh, come on, Riley. You've got to have a bit of self-confidence there, mate.
And maybe in the trucks, because then I broadcast. That's where I'll go good.
So that's all right. I'll take you out of the trucks. Don't worry, Riley.
Only if your personal sponsor's there.
Oh no, great. Look, hopefully we'll get to speak to you properly soon, Riley. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll let you jump back down to the team chat.
Cheers, boys.
See ya.
Riley Curtis, A1 Sim Sports. Michael Schroeder still in the race, I believe. I saw him somewhere, but see how. Yeah, he's 16th at the moment. So hopefully things can go better for his teammate than himself tonight. Oh, okay. So 46 laps remaining here tonight. It's going to be an interesting run to the flag. Nobody deciding to really come into the pit lane from the top. Sorry, the top group. Tim Corn, Michael Schroeder, Justin Witcher, all popping in for a few repairs, things like that. But the leaders did not. We're back to green flag racing. Neal Pearson gets a good launch away. Andrew Dyson just behind him, also nicely done. That's left Hobson up on the high side with not much place to go. Look at Skurlock getting a good restart as well, trying to creep his way back up into the top of the field. And Skurlock gets a good run. Sorry, as Hobson gets a good run on that high line at the moment, trying to keep Dyson behind. It might be a bit hard to do. Ooh, so close to the wall there. Just giving that wall the slightest of glances. Not contact there. A little bit of the air bubble saving him, but not able to make Dyson. Not able to get past Dyson at the moment. There's a real big battle going on just behind Danny G at the front of that pack. Edward Foster there, Ruben Phelps, Jason Martin, Dave Douglas. A lot of cars in this pack finding position. Luke Traher dropping down into that group as well, falling off the lead pace a little bit here. as Neal Pearson jumps up to the high line and Dyson goes down to the low line. Could have a change for the lead here as it still continues on. 43 laps remaining here at Atlanta, still a long way to go. Many things can happen, and as is the case in motorsport, it usually does.
When you at least expect that something will always go wrong, Carl, you know that.
Generally, whenever I say something is not going to happen, that will happen, of course. Foster having a good little run there on the low line. He gets a great run there just ahead of Barry Neal. He shoots across, shoots up next to Skurlock. Foster, Skurlock once more finding each other out on track. We've seen these two be close to each other for a couple of times this season. Hopefully they don't get too close to each other. I'm sure they will be hoping for that. Meanwhile, up the front, it is Neal Pearson leading, Hobson second, Dyson in third. They are really pushing it along. Hobson gets a good run up on the high line. Will he be able to get the lead of the race here? And he does. Hobson takes the lead of the race. Synergy Car leading the race now, and he's going to be hoping that he can keep this position. Of course, these guys have been out on track about 10 laps longer than the rest, than some of those other guys that came in for that little top up of fuel. Will we see a fuel sensitive race at the end here? Will we see a few people just needing to save a couple of millilitres of gasoline to get across the line? Obviously, that caution will help them out.
Yeah, it depends on how much people were able to save. And as I said in previous races, both here and with us when we commentate in Carl, so many different ways to save fuel on the caution. It's, a lot will turn the motor off, and then some will just put the foot on the clutch and just coast around. So I rather just put my foot on the clutch. I don't know about you, but that's the way I tend to save fuel when I'm rolling around.
Well, it's also the other one as well this season with this car is just flicking it up into fifth gear and just cruising around in that very high gear ratio as well. That's been another little fuel saving technique we've spotted a few times. So three different options to sort of the same problem, but it's I don't think everybody has their preferred method, but I don't really know if anyone is more effective than the other. Sometimes I think some of it can be a little bit more driver's mind than anything else. I think they all work quite well in their own little ways. My preferred method is usually the clutching method, of course, but that can cause problems, especially in green flag running if you're needing to save fuel, because when you dip that clutch in, sometimes it changes the way the car handles, and it can really cause you issues in the mid corner when all of a sudden you don't have the power going through the rear wheels, and it can run the car up high. So there are some little situations like that where it can really catch you out too.
Yeah, definitely.
The battle continues a little bit further back. It is Skurlock, Foster and Phelps at the moment. Ruben Phelps working his way nicely through the field. 22 positions at the moment. They are really going along as their cars come up to Josh Micklemore now. So Micklemore just calling out across the radio that he's going to be sticking to the bottom this time. So communication from the drivers. Of course, you don't hear that over the broadcast. We are the ones listening out for those little bits and bobs. But it sounded like Micklemore was going to stick it low this time round, as they're going to catch him as they go into turns 1 and 2. But quite a lively discussion in the YouTube comments about the sort of positioning on the lapped car here. It is a tricky track here at Atlanta because it's one of those places where in some corners you run high, some corners you run low, and then the start-finish straight is just, it's not straight at all, and it's a very narrow circuit too.
Yeah, definitely. Look, most of the guys, it's an unwritten law, or I should say rule. Majority of the time, the lap cars tend to stick high, but with the in-race radio, the guys that can let the leaders know where they're going to run, or the leaders can actually ask the guys to stay low or stay high. So there's plenty of communications in the background that as you said, Carl, our spectators and viewers can't hear, but we can hear them.
Yeah, it's one of those things you can usually tell when there's something juicy going on the radio because both of us shut up and start listening. But it is
I, I think that's the race car driver in his Carl, I should say, wanting to know what's going on.
yeah, that's it. It's the trouble when you commentate and you race sometimes. Is you have that bit of nosiness in the end. You sort of have those moments. But it's a really good run. Pearson having a very nice run out the front at the moment. But the battle at the moment is who's that up in the wall? Was that Schroeder? I think that was Michael Schroeder just getting a huge lick into the wall there. Manages to keep it going. But that was a nasty bump into turn 4. Just heading up to the tribal section as we just go back to the replay for that one. That was a big moment. I think he lost the rear just going up and then slid up there. And JCW almost getting caught out in that one. Very big moment indeed. But luckily, no major harm. That will damage his car and his night, but nobody else caught up in that one, thankfully.
Yeah. I just while we're looking at that, the lap prior to that where I went quiet, is Ruben actually gave Ed a little bit of a touch up, so the radio lit up and with apologies and a chit chat between the two of them. So yeah, bit of rubbins racing.
That is it. Look, a little bit of rubbing here and there. It is one of the things you've got to be cautious of, especially with online racing, and it's something that it's often forgotten about in the online sphere, of course, because you do have that little bit of latency issue. What we mean by that is obviously everybody's internet's talking to everybody else's, and it's talking to the iRacing server as well. And sometimes that can cause what we call netcode. And when you're next to a car, sometimes you'll think there's a bit more gap than there is, and there might well be, but the server might not think that, and it can cause an accident. We saw that earlier on. We saw that one happen earlier on as Barry Neal having a big moment a little bit further back. He just has to run down below the line. He loses the rear end going through 3 and 4, manages to save it. But yeah, sometimes these accidents will happen, and it's really nobody's fault. It is just an issue of the servers, unfortunately. These things do happen.
And also, Carl, a lot of guys run third-party spotter packs, so depends on how they've got their spotter pack set up too. You may get a bit of a lag, or the spotter may say that you're clear when you're not 100% clear because of the lag and the talking between each computer and everything. So there's definitely a lot that can go wrong.
There is indeed, and it's surprising sometimes that it actually all goes right, but it does most of the time. It's just those rare circumstances where these little things happen, it just adds a little bit more complexity to the races. Foster so close to the wall that time round. I'm just going back to look to see if he actually made contact. He just missed it as he was getting past Ruben Phelps. So close to that wall. There was absolutely nothing between him and the barrier there, of course, here at Atlanta. Of course, Atlanta seeing some changes now, and we'll be seeing those changes next time we head here, I guess. Obviously, the new Atlanta not out just as of yet, but it is going to be a very different track, of course. They're changing the banking degrees. Slightly higher banking degrees, going to be slightly higher speeds around this place, and it's going to make it like a little mini super speedway.
Yeah, definitely. And the one big change to the surface is the actual asphalt, mate. Very different in the sense that it's a very open type of asphalt, and the water actually gets sucked down through the asphalt into drainage underneath the track and is taken away. So it'll be interesting to see if they get any wet weather running here.
Yeah, it's good news for the road course part of the track, but of course it will help make the track drier quicker, of course, for the oval side in the future. And it's not something we're necessarily going to see in sim racing terms, but it will be a really interesting little addition, and I imagine it will be in a slightly more open sort of asphalt. I wonder if that's going to change how it runs as well. It might be a little bit less grippy. That could be an interesting little thing to see. So yeah, always fun to see how these little things can change a racetrack, and always interesting to see new technology coming into the sport as well. Of course, that's something else that we will be seeing in iRacing on the platform in the near future as well as rain. I doubt we'll be seeing it too much in the ANZCAR series, although we may see it on a couple of road circuits.
Yeah, we'll have to be very quick to get the wiper blades out and put a wiper on. And yeah, there's a load of new rules coming with the wet weather. It's some different rules in the real world for these guys that come wet weather time.
Yeah, which is going to be fantastic to see. It's going to add some strategy into the mix for sure, and all of this exciting stuff coming. But we've still got exciting stuff out on track. Michael Skurlock running a little bit of a high line there, running a slightly different line to everybody else at the moment. So interesting to see that as well, as we are now 22 laps out from the end. These guys have done some 40-odd laps on these tyres. So a long stint so far for most of these drivers. And these tyres will be starting to get a little bit towards the end of their service life. Got to wonder, is it going to be... Will everybody need to just make that last pit stop for fuel? We've only got 22 laps to go. It's sort of, being that nobody came in with that last caution, I'm a bit doubtful in all honesty. So I think we've got the end of the race pretty much going here tonight.
Yeah, look, it's some of these guys would have saved some fuel, but I reckon there might be one or two that may need a splash.
Yeah, it's often the case sometimes. I mean, again, talking about third-party programs, some people use certain ones to help with their fuel calculations. Some people just do it in their head because they are masochists. But it's one of those things. Sometimes those third-party programs they don't always work as well as you want them to. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I can't see my toes, so I can't work it out in my head as we race. I'm too busy with trying to drive.
Yeah, that's the trouble when you with not being able to see the toes. You need to have somebody next to you with an extra set of hands.
Yeah, definitely. And the abacus is just out of reach, so I'm really stuffed.
Oh, a little bit of a moment, a little bit further back between Douglas and Carol Walden. They made contact on lap 140, and Dave Douglas just falling down the order a little bit. So those two just having a little bit of contact, and that could get a bit spicy if those two get back next to each other a little bit later on in the run.
Oh, Ed's making a move on Skurley. He's got a great run there through turn 1 and 2, but I don't know if he's going to be able to hold it down. Nah, he's dropped back in behind.
Yeah, and I think some of that was to do with Dyson, actually, because Dyson's sort of running a bit of a middle line at the moment. He's running a slightly different line, and I think Foster Meyer just had to lift off a little bit there, just as he got caught up behind Skurlock and Dyson. So this battle is starting to get interesting as well. Ruben Phelps falling off a little bit as he drops down behind and just 2 seconds back from the race leader now. About 1.5 seconds from Foster. Danny G there, as well as Luke Trahera and Jason Martin. But a good little battle going on between these guys. Some very good drivers, of course, all former Cup winners as well.
I guess Dyson would be trying to repeat his Saturday night win.
Hobson just makes contact with the wall and doesn't lose too much speed, but just that little contact with the wall just drops him back a little bit from Pearson, and that's given Dyson the chance to get a good run on him for second place. This battle is heating up at the front. 16 laps to go. We are getting towards the end of this one. Not far to go. There is still 5 cars up the front that any 5 of them really could win it from here. Of course, anything can happen as well. So, you know, it's not just these 5 that are in it. We still have 19 cars on the lead lap. Stevie Dub, final of that group, on the lead lap. A caution here now, though, of course, would close everything up. But Neal Pearson in the lead, ahead of Hobson, ahead of Dyson, Skurlock in 4th, 5th for Foster, and then we have that second pack with Ruben Phelps, Luke Traher, Jason Martin, Danny G. A little bit further back is JC Walton, Brad Allison having a good recovery run up into P11 with Patterson and Douglas. Barry Neal falling off a bit of the pace, obviously a bit of damage to that car, falling down 15th. And Justin Witcher, the lucky 31, he has managed to get up into P15. So the lucky 31 is working well for him tonight. He's managed to make it off the field at the moment, so that will be a very strong finish if he can keep there.
Yeah, definitely, and he'd be wrapped in being getting up there in the 15th.
Look, top 20s are not easy to come by, and getting up in the top 15 is a very nice feeling indeed. So that will be helpful for him, of course, and give him a few more points as well, just to help him out in the championship, and gives him the ability, if he can get up into the top 20, to lock himself in every week as well. So still a bit of work to go for himself, but this is a start.
Most definitely is. I think Dyso's tyres may be starting to hurt a little bit, and we're running on that low line, and it's given the outside line to Skurlock, and he's just got his nose in front, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens here.
Yeah, he seems to be struggling a little bit. Side by side they go, Skurlock and Dyson, and Foster just sitting back there watching this one unfold. Hobson as well, just starting to think about possible moves right now as well on Neal Pearson. As the lap count does start to come down, they're going to have to think about how they're going to finish this one. There's a little bit of contact between Foster and Dyson there. Foster giving Dyson a little bit of a rub behind, trying to get past, and he's going to do it. Now will Dyson return the favour here? Little bit of a rub between those two, but Foster has made that rubber run work for the moment. Dyson's going to get a good run off the corner here. These two racing very hard at the moment for what is 4th and 5th position.
That damage on front of Edwards' car would be hurting him a little bit too. So, you know, he may not just have the power there to make the move.
Yeah, that's it. As we say, it sort of acts a bit like a parachute sometimes when you pull out of the draft, and then all of a sudden the car just does not want to go any faster. It's very painful sometimes, and it does look like he's struggling. As who's that in front there? Just a big puff of smoke for, I think, Aidan Schultz possibly, as I think his engine has decided it's had enough tonight and decided that it wants to go home. Or he might just have a bit of a lock up, so we're just going back for a bit of a look.
No, it's expired. Will this bring out? Oh no, he's towed. He's done the right thing and towed straight away. So he's done the right thing. He's realised he's not been able to make it home into the pits, so he's pulled it in and towed.
That engine is very much toast, as we were talking about. You know, when you get damage to the front of these cars, sometimes it can really, really affect you with the old heating problems, and that's the exact thing that's happened there, is that engine has overheated, toasted itself, and decided that tonight it has done enough laps and gone home. Meanwhile, Foster dropping off the back of this pack now, unable to keep up as he's lost the car in front of him. He's sort of lost that. Oh, Skurlock in the wall. Big moment. Just manages to save it, but that's going to give Dyson the chance to get back into 3rd position, which he does. It's got 7 laps remaining here. Pearson in the lead ahead of Hobson and Dyson at the moment. DPR again having another strong night, but Hobson proving that he has got the pace. He will be desperate to try and get a victory here tonight as well. He really wants to try and get that first win in ANZCAR after it was so, it's so or robbed, you can almost say, at Phoenix. He had some really good pace at Phoenix, but tonight he's proving that that pace was not just a one-off thing, really keeping it going. So just looking for big gainers of the night so far, Ruben Phelps, 20 positions, is the most positions gained. Brad Allison in a close second with 19 positions gained, both inside the top 10 tonight. So they're going to be pretty chuffed with that. That's very good work. And that's good news for Brad Allison, who's been fretting for many, many nights and races after he had a really good run in the Daytona race, getting himself inside the top 20 for the championship. He has been constantly fretting about keeping himself there, but he's done some really good jobs of getting some good finishes and keeping himself in with a shout in the top 20 of the championship. Meanwhile, we've got a race for second place, Hobson versus Dyson. Dyson has got his speed back. Looks like he might have just been letting his tyres cool off. They go 3 wide into the corner, and Hobson has got the middle line. Dyson's got the middle line. Will he be able to get the run on Hobson here? Looks like he might well do it. They go side by side down the start-finish straight. Who's got the drag race? Dyson just gives that grass a little bit of a kiss. Coming into turns 1 and 2. Dyson on the inside, Hobson on the outside. It is the 41 versus the 88. Dyson looks to have a little bit more grip at the moment, able to run that low line. The Hobson's going to get a better run off the corner here. It's going to be a drag race down the back straight. We've got 3 laps remaining. Who is going to take this position? Very well defended from Hobson, keeping Dyson behind him for now. And Pearson still leads away. He has got a good couple of tenths, 3 tenths of a second over Hobson at the moment. But Hobson, I think, is thinking it is go time. He needs to try and make a charge here if he's got a chance of winning. But he's got to defend against Dyson as well. Not easy to do. Meanwhile, Foster has moved past Skurlock. So Foster has moved up into P4. Good recovery drive for him. Jason Martin currently sitting in 6th. Danny G 7th. 8th for Phelps. Trager in 9th. And 10th for Allison. But the battle is on for P2. Dyson gets down the inside once more as they get across the start-finish line. 1.5 laps remaining here tonight, folks. Is going to go down to the wire once more in the Cup Series. We've seen some great racing this year. These new cars delivering to us. The battle is, though, for P2 at the moment because it looks like Pearson has got this one covered up the front unless anything happens to him. The battle for P2 is where we want to keep our eyes at the moment as the white flag will come out. Neal Pearson's going to take that one as Dyson and Hobson are side by side. Who is going to get this second place finish? It is so close between them. Hobson running the high line, Dyson running the low line. Dyson really pushing it, really trying. He's managed to get up in front. He slides it up in front of Hobson.
Great move, great 2-lap work there by Dyson. But now he's got to watch him for him to come back on the inside, and he's definitely going to have a look here in turns 3 and 4.
He's having a bit of a look, but not much he can do, and it is Neal Pearson taking the win for DPR tonight, with Andrew Dyson, his teammate, in 2nd, Hobson in 3rd, 4th for Foster, 5th for Martin, 6th for Skurlock. Danny G comes home 7th, 8th for Trager, 18 positions gained in that race, 9th for Ruben Phelps, 19 positions gained. Patterson in 10th position. Justin Witcher, the lucky 31, making up 20 spots tonight, coming home in P11.
Great run there by Justin to get up there.
Yeah, it's nice to see. Nice debut with the lucky 31, and he's definitely done the job that he needed to do there, getting into the Cup Series on the 31st spot. Of course, starting down in 31st position, not an easy place to start, but he's made it work. But the man who has made it work tonight, starting from pole position, Neal Pearson, Celebrity Donuts, he is going to be super stoked with that one. And another great run for DPR. This is going to help him get back in the championship as well after a poor result last time out for Pearson. A DNF last time out dropped him down behind his teammate. That this will help crawl him back a little bit. Good result as well for Jason Martin and Edward Foster. Foster, again, recovery drive again for him after getting some serious damage. But yeah, really, really fun little race there. Some really good racing we saw out there tonight, Jamark.
Oh, definitely some real close door to door stuff. Some nice little rubs hit from different people. Some great movers through the pack. So yeah, let's bring on next week at CAT.
Absolutely. So let's run through those results one more time. So it's Neal Pearson taking the win ahead of Andrew Dyson, Brenton Hobson in third, fourth for Foster, fifth for Martin, sixth for Skurlock, Danny G in seventh, eighth for Traher, Ruben Phelps in ninth, 10th for Patterson. Then we roll over to the next page, and it is P11 for Justin Witcher, Brad Allison 12th, 13th for Dave Douglas, Tim Corn for Locked On Lads gets home in 14th position, Darren Lobb in 15th, 16th for Barry Neal, 17th for Schroeder, 18th for Stevie Dub, Paul Jackson in 21st position, Paul Jackson in 19th position, 20th for Jamie Nankirvis, 21st for JCW, Joyce Schultz 22nd, 23rd for Greg Spencer, Aidan Schultz 24th, 25th for Micklemore, 26th for Curtis, Worley 27th, 28th for O'Shea, Hennessy 29th, Jaden Russell 30th, and 31st was Kai Turner, out early in this race, unfortunately. But that was one heck of a run there, and another great race for the Cup. Let us wait for the green room to start filling up. We have got Brenton Hobson up there, so we'll grab down our P3 finisher, Mr. Brenton Hobson. Congratulations, Brenton Hobson, on P3 tonight. A pleasure to have you up here in the booth. That was a fantastic race there towards the end, and a well-deserved podium finish for yourself.
Thanks, Carl. Good to talk to you. It feels long overdue at round whatever we are, 5 or something like that. But yeah, that was a pretty good race. I'm just happy to get another good result back. Last week sort of checked up the momentum that I had for the season, so good to come back and get another good result. I'm a little disappointed. I think I probably could have won that race, but I mean, I'll take a third place and take it to next week and try and go again.
Well, we are on a road course next week, and we know you're pretty good on those things. So that could be a good opportunity for you to get that cup win. Um, of course, look, just touching on last week, big shame to see you out last week. You were pretty dominant, but you've been having a stellar season so far and really, really working well on these ovals. What's been the slight change to your running?
Well, nothing really. I mean, I don't have a huge oval background, but I've done enough of it now to sort of know roughly what I'm doing, I think. But I mean, the new car's the challenge this year. We're all struggling with it, trying to figure out how to drive it. It's getting better. I think we're all doing a better job with it, but it isn't an easy car to drive, that's for sure. So I think that's probably the biggest thing has been everyone's, been chucked in back at square one, and we've all had to try and figure it out again. So it's somewhat leveled the playing field, perhaps a little bit. And some guys have sort of got onto it a little quicker than others, but you mentioned I had a good start to the year. I mean, I've had a pretty good run. I've been pretty consistently nearest to the front. I've actually been quite disappointed. Like the races that I felt like I could have won, I didn't get the best results. And then the race that I was completely hopeless at, which was Vegas, I got a fourth. So it's been a weird year, but I have been banking points except for last week. So we'll keep that momentum. That's a key, I think. Just keep learning for me and getting more experience.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, look, three top 10 finishes, one of them a top five finish, of course. That's not a bad run at all. And it's been a bit overdue for you getting back up here in the commentary booth, as you said. But tonight, you just again, it's been a really solid run. Maybe a little bit rough in qualifying, maybe down there in ninth. Probably not the area you were hoping for.
Yeah, I made a bit of a mistake in qualifying. I sort of got half the track right on my first lap and then the other half right on my second lap. So I was a little bit away, but I'm also, fairly realistic about where I should be in these mile and a half overs, particularly. They're not probably my strength; they're probably my weakness, if anything. So, I mean, top 10 is still pretty good. It's obviously not where I want it to be, but it's still pretty good as long as I can try and stay out of the mess that happens deep in the field. That's really the main goal.
Oh, look, congratulations again. Look, another solid race from you, another solid run on the ovals, and it is a thing that we are seeing you improve heap in and heap out. And look, that win is going to be coming very shortly, I can imagine.
Oh, fingers crossed. I think we've got the momentum. I'd be surprised if I don't manage to get there eventually, but I don't want it to take too long either, because then it becomes a thing, doesn't it? So, we're we'll keep working on it. Like you say, the road course is a good chance, but we know those DPR guys, although they're great at ovals, are also extremely good on the road. It's a bit of an unknown, to be honest. I haven't driven this car on a road course, and if it drives as bad as it does on some of the ovals, it might be a handful. So we'll see. We'll see what it's like next week. Will be pretty telling, I think, and we'll see what guys are good and what ones struggle again. And first time looking at a road course, so lots of unknowns. But I fancy my ability to drive it not bad there, and fingers crossed we can come away with a good result, if not a win. That's what I'm here for, to try and win races.
Oh, absolutely. Look, congratulations. Like, thank you for giving us a great battle to the end there with Andrew Dyson as well. It was very much anybody's place for second there at the end, but just getting pipped towards that final lap.
Yeah, I was a little bit frustrated with that, losing it on the last lap. I mean, I think that's why I was saying I was a little frustrated. I made an error. I drove into the fence following Nearly, sort of tracked me up the track into turn one with, I don't know, 20 laps to go or something. And I should have got out of it because I could see what was happening and still did it anyway. So it sort of just scraped up the right hand side. And I think that may have hurt my car a little bit from then on to the finish. So I just started to lose the tyres, wasn't quite as good there in the last few laps as what I think I should have been, and ultimately ended up costing me a spot instead of gaining one. But, lessons learned and experience, that's all that is. So we'll get there. But yeah, it was a good race with those guys. It was nice and clean. So it's good.
No, look, congratulations for P3. Always a pleasure to have you up here in the booth, Mr. Hobson. Before I let you go, though, the usual thing of shout out and love to sponsors.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, thanks to the guys in the team. SSR, we've got a few guys, but they're not always appearing here every week, week in, week out. But yeah, it's good to have those guys around, and also to the guys over at Mitch. They're good to hang around with and work with. Um, to the sponsors, Wave Runner Performance Center, DGD Custom, Smith and Sons, and all the others that make the wheels go round.
Congratulations on tonight there. Obviously, next time we will see you one step better, and then again, one more step after that. So I expect to see you winning a race soon.
Thanks, man. See you later.
No pressure at all.
No, no.
Cheers, Hobo. So next up, we will grab down for DPR, Mr. Andrew Dyson. Congratulations on a very hard-fought second place.
Thanks, man. That was a great little race there with all the boys.
Yeah, look, we saw that. You were really having to push there at the end, and that fight with Hobson, very much close stuff, but you just managed to pip him on that last lap.
Yeah, I didn't really like my chances when I ended up back behind. I had that little battle with Skirley a little earlier on. Fell back a little bit after a touch from Ed. We had a laugh about that, so it was all good. Then when I got back to Skirley, I thought, this is the best I'm going to do. I'm either going to kind of go side by side across the line with him, or this is where I'm going to end up. And then unfortunately had that little touch with the fence there, so that was. Otherwise, it was looking like a really good battle to the finish. But the other good thing about that was it helped me save some tyre. So then I was able to get to Brenton and use the tyre that I was kind of anticipating that I'd have to use on Skurlock with Brenton, and then we had a great little race at the end there as well. So it was cool.
Yeah, we did wonder if you were just falling back a little bit, possibly from overheating the tyres a little bit, or possibly saving them. So that answered that question. Another good performance for you tonight, though, and this has been a very strong start to the season for you.
Well, yeah, it's great. It's good to get some good races in. It's easy when you've got. I shouldn't say it's easy, but it's easy when there's so many good drivers around, and you can have really long green flag runs like that, so close to each other, and it's makes it really satisfying at the end of the day, even if you finish 10th. So it's good.
No, that's it. It's sort of it's not easy, but it makes things a little bit more enjoyable and less. You have to worry a little bit less about people around you, I guess.
That's a much
the
better
main
way
thing.
of putting it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a much better way of putting it. I shouldn't say it's easy. It's not. It's hard work. Everyone's really fast, so
That's it. I knew what you mean though.
Yeah.
Obviously leading the championship coming into this stage as well, so this is another good result for you. Your main combatant in the championship though is finishing one step ahead of you tonight. So the inter-team rivalry, how's that going?
Oh, well, me and Neal, we basically said after I think it was Auto Club, or I said anyway, we can't be friends no more. Like, you can't just pass me around the last bloody lap like that. It's not on, mate. So yeah, we're going fierce at each other. No, not really. It's all pretty good. We just run around and we work together, but at the same time we do race each other. We just try not to hamper each other, if that makes sense. And all the teams are doing the same thing. We'll just keep doing that, and hopefully we don't step on each other's toes and wreck each other at some point. Although chances are it will happen at some stage. So we'll see how we go.
That's it. Look, when you're racing that close with each other, eventually something is going to happen. But that is motorsport sometimes. Obviously, Kota up next. You're probably one of the favourites for that one. How are you looking forward to that one coming up?
Yep, still hoping and praying for that road car update. We'll see if it comes. Who knows what the boys have in store for setup? We'll see how that goes. But like I said, these cars are so deadly. There's a lot of really fast guys in this league now that are, pretty top operators on road circuits. So I certainly wouldn't call myself the favourite. We'll just jump in there, cruise around, and hopefully get a good result and move on to the next circle race next week after that.
Look, it's exciting to see. We are very interested to see how things go with this new car on the road tracks. But tonight we got another great race delivered. Just quickly as well, it looked like the car was a little bit more settled than it has been at previous rounds. It didn't look quite as sketchy out there.
Yeah, it certainly was. You could still get it away from you pretty easily. I nearly had a few little moments myself, but that's probably more got to do with where the cars are positioned around you and how you're using the throttle, really. But more probably to do with how the cars are around you and where the air is, sort of thing. Yeah, it was pretty tight. I think that made it a safe car to drive, and probably that's why we saw less cautions tonight because of that. So in one way, it was good. Not really too keen on it being super tight, but it worked out all right for everyone.
Look, congratulations tonight, Dyso. Well done on a well-deserved P2 in there. The usual thing before I let you go, shout out and love to sponsors and people in general.
Yeah, no worries, man. Shout out to Neal. Good job tonight. Shout out to Brenton, Ed, Skirley. There was a few other guys at the front there that were racing as well. It was good fun all throughout tonight. Thanks you guys for putting this all together. Mark for jumping in the booth every now and then. Love your work, bud. Shout out to Southwell Listen Hoists, Phoenix Smokers, Simmings.com. We'll be at the Grand Prix too, so make sure you check that out if you're in Melbourne. And Bermax Mechanical. And see you next week, hopefully.
Awesome. I am sure we'll see you back in the booth shortly. Thank you so much, Andrew Dyson.
No worries. Thanks, guys. See you later.
And finally tonight, we will grab down our race winner, a prover that maybe the reverse curse of the commentator does work. Congratulations, Neal Pearson. Well done on a well-deserved race win.
Thank you very much, guys. And yeah, we're glad we got that reverse commentary curse thing going.
It proves it works. So pay me off in the future, and I might do it again.
Every week, you can do it every week.
You were safe from my curse, mate, because you're in a Chev, so
Congratulations tonight, Neal. I mean, on the paper, you started first, you finished first. It didn't look like you did that much hard work on the old history books, but it was not that easy out there. You had to do a lot of passing and a lot of racing tonight.
Yeah, it was interesting. Because we had a really tight setup versus what we've had the last few weeks. So I wasn't sure how much to save, in the first stint or so. And yeah, I think I pushed a little bit too hard there, and then I just dialed it back and got the car, really, really where I wanted it. And I think one thing that really helped me was I pitted for fuel, and a lot of the other guys didn't. So I was just able to push that little bit harder, get back to the front, and then try to. I was playing a lot of games with Hobbo and trying to get him to run harder. But when I think with this car, you get to about half a second in front, and he can just sit there. Like I could not break it. Like I think if something had happened and to him, and I got like to a second and a half or something, I think I might have broken him. But other than that, you just can't break the draft, and it's really frustrating.
No, well, I mean, you couldn't break the draft, but luckily you had a teammate behind you that was busy battling with him, which possibly helped you out there towards the end.
Yeah, I think Hobbo just used his tires up a little bit towards the end. I saving them, and then I think Dyso was as well. He's the master of saving that right front. So yeah, I think that just helped us a bit, and we got 101 too.
Just going back to the pit stops there, obviously you came in with came in just after about a 10-lap run, just for a little bit of fuel there. Were you expecting this to be a fuel sensitive race, but then that caution came out and ruined that little strategy?
Yeah, I was, because I couldn't make it home. I'm not very good with the fuel saving. My right foot's a bit too heavy. So I knew that as soon as I saw it, we had the caution, I was like, nah, I'm going to pit for fuel. So I knew, I think the restart before that, we had like 70 laps, and I was just never going to make it. So I was 100% coming in, and Dyson, the fuel master, decided to stay out, and so did Hobbo.
No, well, it ended up paying off for you in spades. Second win of the year, I think, now in the Cup Series. Yeah, second win of the year for you now. So that's always a nice thing to have, of course. And this is going to be useful for the old championship points position. You were sitting 10 points behind Daiso before this race, so that's going to close up the gap for sure.
Oh, not by too much. I mean, you only finished, one position behind me, so maybe I should have helped Hobbo out a bit more just to close the gap up.
Oh, you got to love the love of teammates there. No, congratulations on tonight. We asked Daiso just before, of course. Obviously, heading off to a road course next, heading off to Kota. Everybody's pretty second favourite track next to Sonoma, of course. How are you expecting things to go next week?
um, Probably fifth or so, maybe, depending on the others. I mean, Hobbo's amazing on the road stuff, so is Daiso and Worley, and it all just, I think a couple of other my teammates will come through the road stuff, and they're a bit better than me on the road. So if I get top five, I'll be happy.
Well, we will see then. And look, hopefully, we'll get you back in the booth soon. But congratulations again on a fantastic victory tonight. Well earned for sure. Before I let you go, the usual thing of shout out and love to sponsors.
Just ANZCAR for throwing up this really good series. It's a lot of fun coming every Thursday night and racing ovals. It's good fun. Performance Esports for the great stream. I'm gonna watch that back later, and then just the usual simrigs.com, Southwell Lifts and Hoist, Ben Max Mechanical, Phoenix Smokers, myself for my awesome liveries, and just the boys for all the help throughout the week and the fun times.
Congratulations once again, Neal Pearson, winner here at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the ANZCAR Cup. I'm sure we'll catch you back in the booth soon.
I hope so.
Well, Mark, that race is over and done with. The final oval of this little stint. Next week, it is a completely different challenge with Kota, of course, but we had a great race delivered to us here tonight at Atlanta.
Yeah, it definitely was some great hard racing, close racing, some nice little rubs and bumps, and so that's what oval track racing's all about. Now next week, yeah, that's a total different ballpark, and as someone said, I'm not sure. I think it may have been Daiso, hoping for the update to the racing circuit for setups for these things. So that could be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting race to see for sure. So excited for that. Of course, you can join us for that next week here on Performance E-Streaming on YouTube and, of course, ANZCAR on Facebook. Head over to anzcar.com for all the information, and a big thank you to 24/7 Sim Services as well for sponsoring us to help keep us going. And, of course, another big thank you to Mark Johansson of the Weekend Warriors series, as well as becoming a regular here in the ANZCAR Cup commentary booth. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Mark.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Happy to come across and give a hand. We all need to help each other out. And don't forget to thank Matt for the great camera shots that he's brought to us tonight, working hard in the background there.
Oh, look, we don't want to thank Matt too much. We don't want him to think he's needed. But no, big thank you to Matt Hunter, of course. Mark, yourself, of course, you got the Weekend Warriors race coming up on Saturday night. That's correct.
Yeah, this week we're at Kansas, so that will be interesting. And I believe you're having a run this weekend, next week at Watkins Glen with us, Carl.
Yeah, hopefully so. So possibly out on track, which is always a dangerous place for me to be. But thank you so much again for joining us. And look, we look forward to seeing you all next week as well. Remember, Thunder on Wednesdays will be on the Locked On Lads, lockedonlads.tv for all of that on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And of course, the Cup will be back next week. But a big thank you to all of us for joining us tonight, for watching, and we will see you next week. For myself, Carl Wilkinson, with the Mark Johansson, of course, Matt Hunter doing the fantastic camera work. It is a good night to you all. Bye bye.